Hello and welcome back to the Halo World Championship. I'm Jersey1, this is Dan Gaskin. We've got Pool B action ahead with Cloud9 up against JLINGZ. Cannot wait to jump into this one with two teams on very different trajectories and maybe have their eyes on very different teams. Cloud9 looking to top the group playing against G1, but then on the other side of things, JLINGZ, they'll have their eyes on War looking to get that third place spot and sneak in the brackets.
Yeah, I think that I'm under no illusion that JLINGZ think they are going to win this game. Of course, every team is going to come into it wanting to do their very best and wanting to show what they're made of, right? But JLINGZ know Cloud9 are kind of a different beast and they are the best team in this group. So it's about showing what you're made of, trying to take a map or two, getting warm, staying warm, so then when you do go into that series versus War, you are at the top of your game. There's the series layout on your screens anyway, and I tell you what, there's a couple of game times there that maybe JLINGZ can have a good go at.
Well, the old trope of Cloud9, they start the pool play slow. Well, that has not been the case this time around. They've been 3-0 everybody, and JLINGZ look to be the next one in their sights. Can JLINGZ bounce back? They had a decent run out against G1. Although they lost 3-0, they had a couple of games and a couple of close games in that series. But for Cloud9, they have their eyes on the prize. They want to be world champions, and JLINGZ are just going to be in their way.
JLINGZ are going to be in their way, and it's whether JLINGZ can be an awkward barrier in the way, a banana skin on the floor, or whether it's just going to be a breeze and they get pushed aside. Capture the Flag Bazaar is probably JLINGZ's best chance, I would say, in this series to try and take a game. I think Oddball Recharge is going to be more than comfortable for Cloud9. JLINGZ really struggled in Recharge throughout Orlando. Slayer Aquarius, you're always going to give the benefit of the doubt to the lower seeded team. It's a Slayer, that's what we always say. You know, a Slayer, you're going to have your chance, you can maybe get 50 kills, whatever. I do think Slayer Aquarius is very good for Cloud9, however. Anyway, game one. Are we going to see JLINGZ cause some sort of crazy upset here, or is the story still going to be Cloud9 on top?
Cloud9, well and truly the favourites heading into this one. With JLINGZ, the underdogs. Can they cause the upset? Or will Cloud9 rally on through the pool with their eyes firmly set on heading out of this one with the top seed? G1 will be their next foe, but they've got to get through a tricky customer in JLINGZ. We're underway here. And it's that man Eco on your screens. And he's been already up to a masterclass with camouflage in the back pocket.
All four dead already as well for JLINGZ. That doesn't do much for your confidence, unfortunately. Cloud9, the starting strategy far superior. In fact, by the time they were on our screens, two were already dead. And clearly JLINGZ just need to be a little bit more sharp on their starting strategies. Don't allow such easy kills to be happening. And now you've got to fight from the death screen. You've got to fight from awkward spawns. Cloud9 already pegging them back.
Yesterday we watched JLINGZ quite a lot in the play-ins, and Quadios was a man who was impressing no end. Pivotal in some of those games, particularly in the Game 5 Slayer against SSG, and how he needs to rekindle that form. And 3 dead now for Cloud9. An opportunity for JLINGZ to have it their own way. Yeah,
it's a really impressive response from JLINGZ after going 4 down themselves, do exactly the same to Cloud9. Love what Morg has done as well with the grapple. Get into a position so you can quickly nip that ball away. But just as I blink and I make the statement, JLINGZ find themselves 3 dead as well. This is very back and forth at the moment, but just seems like it's constant team wipes. Not really any kind of hold back from JLINGZ as soon as they get pushed.
JLINGZ went on to a site to purchase a setup, and unfortunately when it arrived it was made of glass, it was labelled fragile, and it was already broken. 42 seconds amounted here for Cloud9. Ball scooped up by Bound. As he throws it towards the back of Blue here. Stellar's there to help him in this engagement against Septic. You'd expect the trade to come through. Penguins backed off a little bit into bottom tower. You see members of Cloud9 positioned in the underpass. Morgan will get that kill onto Stellar. 3 dead now for Cloud9. Bound has his hands on the ball. He's scampering away, and nobody on JLINGZ in a position to contest it.
Well, Septic does manage actually to get a shock rifle shot from across the map. So that at least delays Cloud9 from being able to score uncontested when there's only 1 player alive. That would have been a travesty for JLINGZ. Morgan's doing his best to try and traverse the map, but unfortunately gets shut down immediately, and once more JLINGZ find themselves in the death screen. I do think that this game is... It's got to be an attempt at a confidence builder for JLINGZ, which sounds quite crazy to say considering you are going up against one of the best teams in the world. But if you can take a map, if you can have a good effort at taking maps, that is going to fill you with confidence. Just like what happened earlier with Na'Vi against E United on the mainstream, they got that first map. That will give them the world of confidence when they play Ascend later on today. JLINGZ could do with that little spice up before they have to play against Team War.
Because they make no mistake about it, the expectations here for JLINGZ is to lose this series 3-0. Cloud9 are just that good. And typically, JLINGZ, not even the top dogs in Europe, you'd expect this one to be a tough task for many teams, not just JLINGZ.
Yeah, I think JLINGZ, their target would have been to get to Worlds. They qualified through play-ins, they were top 4 in that bracket, and that would have been their minimum aim. I do wonder now, what is their expectations? Are they just thinking they are going to fall out of this group in 4th? Do they genuinely believe they have a challenge on top 3 in this group? And I think they do. I think they can give Team War a good game. They've beaten them in scrims, but Cloud9 a different beast. Penguin at the moment, easy ball time for him. Very confident, not trying to play it. Wants to get this round done and dusted nice and quickly.
We did see Penguin nade his own teammate, maybe trying to give JLINGZ an opportunity here. Ball dropped, 5 seconds required for Cloud9 to close out round 1. Septic's gonna fall down, bound, drops down, picks the ball, scoops it up. And we'll milk the last final seconds here. Cloud9 in round 1. Maybe not. Maybe an opportunity still there. Penguin has the chance, but Eco is gonna pick it up and will, no. Again, the ball gets dropped here in Flux. Double stack, fighting tooth and nail, making sure this last second is going to be far more difficult than the 99 were before. Scooped up once more, Bound puts his head down, and finally, Cloud9 will secure round 1.
I think that went to plan. That went as expected. JLINGZ not putting up a huge fight, but a few wipes there from JLINGZ to show that, you know, it's not going to be too easy for Cloud9. There isn't a mammoth amount of difference between these two. But again, it's an easy starting strategy that goes in favor of Cloud9. Camouflage in the hands of Eco once more. And it could be another 4 dead. It will be another 4 dead. JLINGZ clearly not able to keep up with Cloud9 starting strats.
You have to wonder, are JLINGZ approaching this series a little bit differently? Are they a little bit more worried, a little bit more scared when it comes to starting strategies? You've seen Morgan push into that whirlpool, but not really try and push out. The rest of his teammates had already fallen before he could make inroads on the map and maybe slice it up and splice it up. Quadios, or 2 here, will back away into whirlpool. Fortunately, Penguin goes down. That will help the cause of JLINGZ here. Quadios has ball in hands, rotating it towards the bottom elevator area. Semblance of a setup here. Can they hold it, or will it be much like the Pipes one before, where it was broken wide open? Morgan, a bit more success from here. 2 dead, Bound and Penguin in the respawn screen. This is much better from JLINGZ.
Much, much better. A far more solid hold. They know exactly the angles they want to be watching. Calling out a lot better. Maybe starting to get a bit more confidence in their own individual ability. Because if JLINGZ can take a round, again, I think that you'll start to have that actual belief of, okay, they're not untouchable. They're not these world champions that are going to just absolutely slap us around. No, we are a solid team and we can compete. As I said, that all 4 go down once more. And I think the real difference you see between teams of this caliber is Cloud9, when they do get set up, it's more 50, 60 points they score, whereas JLINGZ have only been able to succumb to about 25 to 27 or whatever in the past couple of rounds. So they need to find a way to have a far more solid strategy, or at least get that ball in an area where it can be played quickly. But I will say it's never easy against Cloud9, and JLINGZ just have to kind of learn as much as they can in this series.
Soak up all the information they can, because they're playing against 2-time champions on Halo Infinite, and indeed 3/4 of this team world champions. Triple kill killing spree though. Locked in, Penguin tiptoeing, bouncing around. Ball top elevator here. He will make his way towards it. Perhaps the call has come that this ball is now my responsibility. Unlike a Penguin, tucks it under, maybe trying to keep it nice and warm. Throws it out, unlike a Penguin with an egg, not trying to keep that one too safe.
I hope that we don't see any Penguins lobbing their eggs across the way, but you never know if it's a bad egg. I heard that's what your parents call you. And I don't think they're far from the truth, but
that's a massive disappointment.
There is that
Get
too.
it right.
46 to 28. And JLINGZ, even though they have slowed down Cloud9 here, it does kind of feel a little bit like delaying the inevitable. It's really tough because, you know, I love all these guys on the JLINGZ side. Good friends with them. And it's difficult watching them play against some of the best teams in the world because you know there's a difference. They know there's a clear difference. And I've been there as a player, playing against teams that are just far better, far superior than me, and it's so difficult, it's your mindset to believe you actually have a chance. And once your brain's already there that we're probably losing this series 3-0, where do you go from that? What do you learn from that? So that's when you need your coach or your IGL to really be stepping up and say, hey, this is what we're doing wrong, this is what they're doing right, let's try and implement this, let's try and try that. Because if you can try something that has moderate success against Cloud9, it could have great success against Team War.
Perhaps something to build upon for JLINGZ. Playing against some of the best in the world. Flux top elevator here. Ball down. Kill traded back and forth. Penguins backed into this room. Didn't clear his corners. Quadios will pick up bound as a result of that. Eco trying to support Penguin here and backing away.
And just looking at the movement from Penguin, it was really one of the things that stood out for me, not just Orlando, but every event this season, is Penguin's objective work, how well he does patrol the map, how well he does move around the map with objectives as well. But not only that, it's the amount of kills he gets whilst doing the objective work. He really has been a statistical anomaly when you look at those. A lot of the objective players are not your highest slayers, but somehow Penguin was being able to do both. Bound now will have the ball. Unfortunately, he's under a little bit of pressure, so he realizes he has to drop it temporarily, but the support always there for C9.
86 seconds to 30 here. Septic has camouflage and last man standing here. What can he do with this camouflage? Eco, though, spots him out. Septic didn't even have to move. There was no shimmer involved. Eco, he's been known in the past for pulling off some masterclasses. Bound with a double kill. And opens the door now after the play ball for Cloud9 to close out this round number 2, and indeed this game number 1. Quadios over towards glass. Take it down to half shields. Penguin on hand. Maybe get the finishing touches on that one. Back comes through to the spine of Morgan. Cloud9 are really rolling here, only requiring 10 more seconds.
I will say, individually and even teamwork-wise, we are seeing like impressive performances from the JLINGZ players, as this is probably going to tick over and be the first map going to Cloud9. It's comfortable, it's calm, and it is what we expected. But JLINGZ individually, they did match up pretty well. Some BR fights going in their favor. Again, that does a world of good for your confidence. But for Cloud9, I think this is business as usual. This is just another day in the office. Get through this series. 3-0, this team that arguably shouldn't take a map from you whatsoever. You do what's expected of you, and you start to then look at more tough competition like G1.
You speak about Cloud9 going to work, and it looks as though they're at their regular day jobs, clocked in, not even able to crack a smile. Business as usual. It's going according to plan, according to the script. Cloud9 are 1 up.
I mean, I've seen these guys in the gym. I've seen Stella in the gym.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sup, Stella?
Yeah.
Just focus, pure dedication.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same when they're playing, right? Not even cracking a smile, not even saying hello to each. I don't even know if they speak before the game starts.
I think they deal in, it's just numbers, it's ones and zeros.
They are the closest thing we have to robots at the HCS,
yeah.
right? So efficient, the way they focus on games, the way they prepare for games, and they are such an anomaly as well when you look at how they scrim and who they don't scrim. It's impressive, really, how far they've got in playing that way, but every tournament they surprise me more and more with just how good they are.
Slayer Aquarius on the horizon now, game 2. This is the part where you tell me JLINGZ have a chance, and they've won every game at Orlando 50-40. This is your time. If ever you're going to do it, this is where I want it.
What happens if I'm just silent? Do you get the gist?
We carry on.
We carry on.
We move on, and that's all that JLINGZ can do right now as well.
I mean, this is the chance. A Slayer is always the chance for JLINGZ, right? And I know how good some of these players are individually. We saw what Quadios was doing yesterday. We know that Septic, when he catches fire, he can beat any man in a BR fight. But Cloud9, Slayer Aquarius, they have beaten the Giants before. They've beaten Optic, they've beaten FaZe. Like, these guys know how to play this map. And it's how they control their opponents as well. It's how they force them back into corners and then collapse on them at the right times. We'll see if JLINGZ can make a game of this one. I hope they can, as a fan, as a friend. But already, it's going to be Eco winning the first 1v1.
Well, you said Septic can beat any man in the 1v1. It turns out you can't beat the Borg, as Eco Smith takes him down, punches in those numbers, ones and zeros, exterminate. It's a 4-1 lead for Cloud9 already early doors, and that is 3 starting strategies we have seen successful for Cloud9.
Stella's one of my favorite players to watch on this map as well. He does remind me of how Pistola used to play on midship, for example. He just kind of patrols around on his own, gets camo, listens to callouts, finishes off kills, and he's very difficult to deal with. You never really know where he's going to be. He doesn't always play like this. On some other maps, he can be a player who sits back and anchors, but on Aquarius Slayer, he just doesn't care what everyone else is doing. Instead, he's just wandering around, looking for kills, listening to callouts.
He's on a stage 4 lurk. Is Stellar. 10 kills to 4, 6 kills the difference. Penguin front base down to half shield. Still somehow manages to get a kill despite 3 members of JLINGZ over in that area. Penguin down to no shields, needs the help from his teammates. Will come though. Morga goes down, as does Flux. Septic finally picks up 1, but kills heavily stacked in favor of Stellar and the boys on Cloud9 now, currently 13-6. Stellar yet to register a death.
I'm expecting a lot of European fans will be watching this series. Just to update you on what's happening elsewhere. Ascend just lost 3-1 to Sentinels in their pool play game. And the fact they took a game off Sentinels in a dominant fashion in the Slayer, I think is already good news for Ascend. As for JLINGZ, it's still there, this Slayer. It's still the opportunity for them to just try and sneak something away. Quadios needs to win. This one does get the trade. Trade's important in the moment. Don't allow Cloud9 to get too far ahead.
Trying to put the brakes on Cloud9 here are JLINGZ. That kill will help. Again, it's another trade, and it's a 1-for-2 trade. Cloud9 coming out on top in that engagement. Quadios front base on the brick. He gets eliminated as well, and Flux will join him. And again, we speak about trying to ensure Cloud9 don't put real distance between the two teams. They have tried, and they have failed so far.
Stellar again on his own at the moment, just waiting for a little bit of support, waiting for that call, and there is the call. They're weak, you can push in. Good shots though from Flux. He also was responding well. But I think Cloud9, it feels like Cloud9 are playing in a way where they are playing loose at the moment. There isn't too much structure about it. There's a lot of confidence that I can see. They are just walking around the map, actively looking for kills. They're not really trying to control spawn so much. And unfortunately for JLINGZ, that's very difficult to play against. Because if you want any sort of structure, if you're used to playing against structure, that all goes out the window when teams are playing in this way.
On board with Stellar still. So far, the game in the series going in their favor. Although the gap has stopped, it's starting to get a little bit closer. 7 kills difference now. Perfect bait and switch out of Septic and Flux. That's exactly what you need. But again, Septic overextends into the closet. Penguin punishes him for it. 3 dead now for JLINGZ. Quadios all alone in the base, and he wants to make a fist of it. That Sizzle Stick will get tagged up. The grenade actually changing the trajectory of it. It's good work for Quadios to stay alive. 8 kills remain the difference here. And every single time we see team fights, we see some battles, it is Cloud9 who are getting that extra pick. And there's that first one again. Quadios goes down. And that will now open the door for Eco and the boys to crank the pressure up even further. That's a good win from Septic though. They need more of that. They're going to bounce back in this game. 9 kills now. And there's Cloud9, who we say typically start slow in pools, but already they're showing they have championship contention on the mindset.
As a famous man once said, oh yes, and some more of that. That's what we need to see from JLINGZ. I will say I've seen Cloud9 stake the best of teams, so if JLINGZ can get out of staked inner territory, which they're very close to, they're putting on a good showing. I'll say it again, individually they are matching up quite well. None of them look out of their comfort zone. I think that's what's important when you are playing against these top teams. It's very easy to just get absolutely slapped around, but no, they're happy to challenge. They're not backing away from too much. They're not running around fearing Cloud9. Unfortunately, they're just being slightly outmatched when it comes to the teamwork.
It was unfortunate you did say they're not fearing them while we watched Quadios run away.
It was unfortunate.
That was the time.
I did realize that. But he's come back.
He's come back for more fight. And 3 dead for Cloud9.
A true coward would never come back to a fight.
See? But what if the fight was then in his favor? That's probably right. You know what I'm saying? JLINGZ, this fight right now currently not in their favor. Cloud9 are in the ascendancy here in the game. 8 kills the difference. 11 kills required for Cloud9 to close this one out. They've been put on a clinic. Not underestimating any team here. Penguin picks up 2 in the feed as they inch ever closer to a Game 2 victory.
Penguin is so good. Also Flux, very good as well. As I say that, unfortunately, Bound gets the final shots with a pistol. Not easy to tame the Commando. It's a bit of a beast sometimes when you let it loose.
It'd be getting wild.
It does get slightly wild. A lot of respect being shown from both of these teams at the moment. Quadios, unfortunately, goes down. He's the next on Penguin's hit list. And what I was going to say, Penguin, every tournament this year, he seems to have got better and better. In every category as well. That's what's so crazy. Whether it be support, objective, slays, he just seems to constantly improve. And he is such an asset to this Cloud9 roster. Remember, he was a question mark when he was first added, back when Shotzzy left the Splice roster way back when. With a 48-36, Cloud9 looking comfortable.
One more kill then for Cloud9 to wrap up Game 2. And really put JLINGZ in the back burner here. It feels as though it's a matter of time. It's when, not if. And all 4 members of JLINGZ located on this Carbine side, over towards the Sizzle Sticks, and Flux will be the final pick. Stellar and the boys get the job done in Game 2. And for JLINGZ, you said it already, it's about just getting those reps in, getting the experience against some of the best players in the game.
I mean, do we have listen-ins on this stream? Because I'm curious, like, are Cloud9 even talking to one another at this point?
I think they actually have the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack on.
It's very impressive.
Do
I do remember once, that's funny.
Right?
I do remember once Splice warming up, just playing like, they were warthog racing or something. It was something just absolutely
I
ridiculous.
remember they were playing Warzone.
Warzone, like, yeah.
With their headphones off.
Honestly, just crazy stuff. Like, they're just a different breed of human, and it's very impressive. Every event, I'm just like, wow, okay. They're still doing it. They're still being amazing. And they're doing so in this series as well. Like, 2-0 now. They don't look like they're sweating whatsoever. JLINGZ, unfortunately, haven't really been able to kind of truly test them or make them worry.
Yeah.
If they had done so in like game 1 or 2, then maybe Cloud9 would be knuckling down and saying, come on, guys, we need to take this kind of seriously. But now, going into game 3, I think Cloud9 are going to be very comfortable.
And it's that situation we talked about, how these two teams, although they're matched up against each other in this pool, they have very different ambitions for the way this tournament is going to play out. You spoke about JLINGZ happy enough to be quite able to qualify for Worlds, and perhaps going the distance in this tournament is a step too far with currently how that roster is situated. I think for Cloud9, they're looking to top this pool. They're looking to make it to the final 2. They've never placed outside of the top 2 in a LAN tournament.
Wild.
And they're looking to get a world championship here. And JLINGZ, they're almost just happy to be taking part right now.
Yeah, and I think for JLINGZ, you know, they would love to have the chance to play teams again like Fnatic, right? Like TSS, like Na'Vi. That this is the kind of area of where JLINGZ are. But unfortunately, Cloud9 in a far different tier. But JLINGZ are going to have to beat the likes of Team War if they get there. And I do think they genuinely can. Like, even though War, an incredible team, they had an amazing story back in Orlando. They shocked the world. But
now
now,
we'll talk about it.
Now is that honeymoon period over, right? Has the honeymoon period ended? How have Team War practiced coming into this event? Because I know, scrim results, JLINGZ have actually done pretty well against Team War. I think they are very confident going against them. Whereas here against Cloud9, it's kind of just running through the motions a little bit. And going into game 3, which is Bizarre capture the flag, I said this is their best chance.
You did say that.
Because it is a very difficult map to navigate. And sometimes if you can take the lead, you can hold on to it.
When you say best chance,
Yes.
could you put a number on it? The percentages and the numbers. Crunch them numbers real quick.
I'll give it a 5% chance that JLINGZ win this game.
That is not high when you say this is their best chance. What was the chance before that?
It maybe 3.
Okay.
It's gone up slightly.
It's taken almost a double.
Yeah.
That's significant.
Which I do think you take it at this point. But if JLINGZ can go up 1-0, I think this is a fantastic chance for them. However, if they are the team to get capped on first and Cloud9 take a 1-0 lead, I think it's going to be game, set, and match.
First clap, first cap. Clap's a different thing.
It is.
My words are doing this all day.
All day.
All day, every day, yesterday too.
Yep.
But this time, the starting strats seem to have gone in JLINGZ's favour, and all of a sudden I'm starting to think, is there potential for them to get a flag capture? Because we talked to Morgie yesterday, and he spoke about how he loves playing Bizarre CTF, and he doesn't get to play it enough.
Well, here's your opportunity. Do it now against the biggest and best team. 3 are dead for Cloud9. JLINGZ in the ascendancy, all 4 dead. And I tell you what, maybe that 5% chance is suddenly a 7% chance. But unfortunately, off spawn, Cloud9 will quickly diminish those hopes.
I think we're back down to 5 again. Morgan, sizzle stick, make it 2. Cooking some people, frying penguin to the core. And it is a penguin fillet. Not sure how it tastes, what sauce it requires. Has to be barbecue. You can always pair that with anything. Eco, bottom middle trying to scamper away. Flux ensures that will not be a possibility, nor a reality. Z picks up 2 kills, and they're starting to roll through the gears. And all of a sudden, JLINGZ have Cloud9 on the back foot here, early doors.
I am being told as well that communication-wise, Cloud9 are very quiet at the moment, not really talking to each other. Very different on the side of JLINGZ, still, of course, making sure they're putting everything into this. It means far more to them than it does Cloud9. In the early stages, JLINGZ have shown that Cloud9 maybe are going to have to switch into a new gear here. Go up to second gear rather than first. Otherwise, it's going to be tough because JLINGZ have really been aggressive.
Well, you spoke about how you wanted to hear from JLINGZ and how they're navigating communications. We don't need to do a Cloud9 listening if they're not talking to each other, but JLINGZ definitely are. Let's have an actual listening.
Get the locks. What?
Nice, dude, OS.
I died. Is it grapple down that jumbo? OS.
The bar right now? Keep eyes on OSB, keep eyes on OS.
Hello. There's a guy in Marcos right here.
The bar, one shot, you go.
The locker's weak.
Up there. Up front, Penguin.
Hey, one of the locker's
weak.
weak. Yeah.
The bar.
Penguin's got one shot, he might go for
He's
OS
so
now.
short.
The bar weak.
Yeah, I died.
Bridge one.
Go for now, go for now.
He's on the truck, boys, with OS.
Play for PP, they got.
Not this guy. He went there.
Found him, found him. He's out locks. I got beat now. His OS is off.
Yep. Pretty weak, yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Play that high. Top middle still, I rally right now. I rally down.
Yeah.
Shotgun spikes right now, you go. Pushing through? Yeah, I think so.
I'm shocked here.
Go back to this guy then.
Yo, I'm gonna double bar with you, if you
Yeah,
can
I'm
give me
waiting,
a
waiting. Yep.
Just holding our truth.
Your thrust is okay if you wanna get it.
Are you up?
I'm here now.
Well, communication not as frantic as I expected it to be playing against one of the best teams in the game, particularly when this game is as close. They're in with a chance here. Maybe they're keeping things calm, but at the same time, maybe they're feeling a little bit defeated already.
Yeah, usually when you suddenly have a close start against a big team, that usually injects some energy into your callouts and you start to really get excited. Maybe this could be the map, maybe this could be the start of the, you know, comeback, but it did feel like there was a bit of deflation there from the JLINGZ side. Maybe they don't really feel like they can do much against Cloud9, and you can't blame them. It's Cloud9 at the end of the day. But I will say that I know Cloud9 don't often play this game type in scrims. They're not a fan of it. They've spoken openly about it. So it does give a real chance for JLINGZ, who clearly like the game type. You were speaking to Morgan, he says he doesn't get to play enough. But Cloud9 are the ones now pulling the flag. JLINGZ are on spawn. Septic trying to go for a flank here.
Is it a situation where Cloud9 refuse to play this game type, hoping that if they ignore it enough, it'll just go away? One thing that's not going away just yet is JLINGZ. Flag was pulled out though, Eco's moving it. Penguin's going to drop down into the sewers now, along with Donatello. Flux over towards Rockets. Will get absolutely lit up by Bound. Septic goes down to the hands of Bound. Stellar down on Overshield, waiting for it, wins that 1v1 despite the height against him in that fight. Morga trying to battle out of his tree house, but unfortunately for him, the flag has already made up so much ground, so much territory. This is a situation where JLINGZ just have to give it up, and 1-0, Cloud9 take the lead.
And that is a shame, because now Cloud9 can play this in any which manner they would like. They can play defensive, they can do what E-United have done to teams where you just hold on to a one-cap advantage. I don't think that's how Cloud9 will play. I think Cloud9 are just going to push and get as many caps as they can. But whether now this is going to be JLINGZ kind of just admitting defeat at 1-0 down, even though they really did come out of the blocks hot. Very impressed with their starting strategy on Bazaar here. And honestly, considering some of the things I heard about JLINGZ being said coming into this tournament, I think they've been so impressive. As the 4th best European team, yada yada. Well, they're here when other European teams aren't. I think they've been practicing hard, they've been showing dedication, and I think they are a team of 4 that could really disrupt Team War in this group. And we'll have to see when that does happen, if JLINGZ can make real waves in this pool. But for now, unfortunately, it's just a case of Cloud9 just kind of battering down and ensuring they hold on to this 3-0.
Of course, with JLINGZ eyes set on Team War. Team War in Orlando, they were the European killers.
They were.
They eliminated Quadrant.
They did.
They're the reason Quadrant are not here.
It's true.
They beat Ascend, the best, the kings of Europe. JLINGZ have it all to do here, no matter what way you cut it.
That being said, JLINGZ maybe have Team War to thank. If Team War hadn't have beaten Quadrant, and Quadrant had progressed, JLINGZ wouldn't have been here, because they had less seeding points than Quadrant, less seeding points than Ascend. Only 2 could go through on seeding points. So War kind of did JLINGZ a favor. So even though they would be acting revenge for European Halo, maybe it would be a little bit of friendly revenge on the other side. All the meanwhile, Overshield is coming up. Stellar again is going to be in position to try and grab this one. He seems to be here, there, and everywhere right now.
All these kills are going down. Overshield in the chest of Stellar now. They've secured it. JLINGZ still only 1 flag capture away from tying up this game. Anything can happen here. The issue is all of the Halo is being played in the wrong half if you're a JLINGZ fan. They've turtled up here. They put their heads between the knees and they're kissing their ass goodbye at the moment.
Is that possible?
Huh?
Is that possible?
I think if you're flexible enough.
Okay.
Stellar has his hands on the flag. Quadios looking to stop it as best as he can. Septic is going to spawn up on the elbow and look to assist his teammate here. He's picked off Eco. Bulldog though. That's not going to be good news for Septic, and indeed it isn't. Flux though on hand to trade it out. Penguin scampers away to double doors, has that grapple to use as well, and he's on the move here, sliding. Cut down though at the halfway point.
Cloud9 really have prioritized the grapple just for that exact reason. Like, utilize it to get it out of harm's way, get it into a position where you can actually start to truly pull it across the map. And now with 1 player down on side of Cloud9, is anyone from JLINGZ in position to stop this flag? It looks like no, and that's going to be 2-0. And that edges us 1 step closer to the inevitable 3-0 now in this series score.
2 dead though for Cloud9. What can JLINGZ do in the latter stages of this game, and possibly the latter stages of this series, if they do not get their act together here? Penguin firing towards Morgan, who's top rockets. Not able to connect though. Septic bottom middle. Along with his duo in Quadios. What can the pair of them do here? Can they combine? Pull a bit of magic out of the hat? It's going to have to be now, and it's going to have to be quick because they have to get 2 flag captures without reply. Opportunity here for them though. They've got flag in the move. 2 members of Cloud9 down. Is this the moment for them? Stellar down to no shield. Teamwork on hand. Bait and switch. Perfectly done there. Flux has the overshield and perhaps it's not done yet.
A cap here really would shake up this game. Septic can't quite get hold of the flag. 2 members of Cloud9 are down, but still that flag is not being moved. Forget pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Just pull the flag at this point. JLINGZ may be overcomplicating it slightly, but now Flux says, you know what, screw it, let's get this one on the move. And sometimes you need people to do that. Sometimes you need someone just to take it by the scruff of the neck. And perhaps Cloud9 will just slowly but surely let this one go because Quad is behind enemy lines being real awkward right now. A massive nuisance, and there we go. 1 flag on the board for JLINGZ. This game is not done yet.
Okay then, 3 minutes left. Make me believe. Sizzle stick though. Flux will fall in the bar. And now he has to watch on as his teammates do some heavy lifting for him. Quadios pops out of the bar for a moment, puts a couple of shots down and backs Penguin into the vent. That's going to be enough just to stall this one, but the problem is Cloud9 are holding the middle of the map. And if JLINGZ want to get a flag cap, they have to move now. 2 members go down, and they have locations on the last 2 surviving remaining players. And they're being handled. Stellar lighting them up here. 4 dead for JLINGZ with 2 minutes and 30 left on the clock.
I know a few of these JLINGZ boys probably a fan of Stellar, but not Stellar. He's really running rampant at the moment. Slay-wise, though, like statistics, I mean, it's pretty even in terms of slays. JLINGZ not that far behind. It's not like they're getting absolutely trounced here. And perhaps it's really an element of Cloud9 just doing the bare minimum to get through this game. They are holding the middle map, as you say now, but Eco is starting to push behind enemy lines. Will be greeted by Quadios, will take the fight. Quad's confident, though, comes sliding around the corner, and that's what you need. You need that little fight, that little engagement that really just will propel your team with the chance to push for another flag.
And this was something we've seen yesterday in the play-ins from JLINGZ. We talked to them about it. Statistically, they were outslaying teams, but they were not being efficient with the objective. And it was something they were acutely aware of and were going to work on, but when you do it against Cloud9, if you're going to match them for slays, you have to make them pay when you have the opportunities.
And maybe another lesson for them to take away in this series as Bound gets a double kill. Unfortunately, that will be the end of any chance of a flag run for JLINGZ, who now are going to have to get on the defensive and need to start flanking round, need to stop Cloud9 from scoring, because if this goes 3-1, it's going to be game.
Quadios fighting in the bar. Bound really keeping them at arm's length, and Cloud9 restore that 2-cap advantage they had. The hope that we had for JLINGZ, it's evaporated now. Because it has to be 2 flag caps in the space of a minute, and as good as JLINGZ have looked, as much as they've hung in there, time is going to start to play the factor now.
Yeah, similarly to how back in the day, Oddball, when there was just no time to actually get back into the game and it was an inevitable score you had to play through. Bizarre capture the flag is probably the most similar thing we have in Halo Infinite, because you are not going to score 2 flags against a good team in this amount of time, especially if Cloud9 are doing this and actually just pulling yet another flag.
Bound. He's got flag out. Doesn't even need the kappa here. Just needs to make sure they manage the rest of this game as best as they can. A couple of dynamo nades thrown. Quadios gets eliminated in the process. 2 dead. And Cloud9 can now trickle through the doors, return their own flag, and punch in what will be their 4th flag of the game. All but ensuring they have a 3-0 series lead and the clean sweep fully locked in here. JLINGZ, they huffed and they puffed at times, particularly in games 1 and 2. But Cloud9 proving that they are different gravy, and they are not just a step above, but they are levels above. It's Cloud9 with a clean sweep, 3-0.
Just another day in the office for Cloud9, and it's time for both of these teams to think about their next target. For Cloud9, it's G1 on the horizon. It's a battle for first place in this pool. And for JLINGZ, it's quite a different story. It's a battle for 3rd place in the pool against Team War. That is what JLINGZ would have always been thinking about. That's where their targets always would have been. They would have been expecting to lose 3-0 here against Cloud9. Like, we know them personally. It might have sounded like I was disrespecting them at times, but I think they know that realistically Cloud9 are just kind of up there at the moment. But I genuinely think, from what we've seen in play-ins and from what we've briefly seen today, JLINGZ have a real chance against Team War.
I think they can be proud from the fact that the way they played yesterday, and they're completely self-aware, these players. They know the situation that they're in, and they know that they have things to work on, and they have a lot of stuff to do, and against Cloud9, that's not exactly the best team to be paired up against if you have things to work on. Confirmation of how the series did play out though. Oddball Recharge 2-0, Aquarius Slayer 50-37, and Bizarre CTF in the end running out 4-1 victors for Cloud9 to round out the series.